Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have another episode and we have some more special guests. So you're not going to want to miss this because this story is amazing. This is 10 and 2. My name is Mark.
And I'm LeeAnn, and we are navigating life with 10 children.
And we're going to be taking you on a journey through the highs and lows of family, parenting,
and marriage.
So let's get started.
Let's do this. All right, here we are. We're back. LeeAnn?
We are back.
We're back. Would you like to introduce our guest? Before we do,
Okay.
we want to just let you know we're thankful for everyone that listens and watches these podcasts. Over the last few weeks, we've had guests on. We told you we would. And we're excited to have some more guests. We're going to announce them in just a few moments. But one of the things we want to mention to you is we love family. We believe that God has called us to bring the joy and the sacredness and what else?
Purpose.
The purpose and what else? Give us another word. Intentionality.
Intentionality.
Okay, you give another word now.
The
Come on.
God-given
Here it comes.
authority.
Authority of family.
Of family.
And that God has instituted family. Family is not something we created in this world, but God is the author of family. In fact, he wants you to be part of a family. And so whether you're a single or you're married or you have kids or you're retired and you have grandkids, whatever it is, we honor you. We're excited that you're listening and wanting to learn more about family from a biblical perspective. Okay?
So good. So good. So speaking of family.
Let's go.
Today I have my family, our family with us.
That's right.
We have my sister, Tina.
Hey.
And her husband, Jacob.
What's going on?
We're excited to have them today. They're going to share a little bit of their story. If you don't know, me and Tina actually have opposite stories. I got married really young and had a bunch of children, and Tina got married later in life, has a child, and we're going to talk about her journey through the waiting. She's got a great testimony about that.
That's right, she does.
And how God just provides miracles in the waiting. So I'm excited. For those of you who don't know, she is my younger sister. We have another sister who's younger than her. Family, 3 girls. I am the oldest.
That would have been,
Yes, oldest.
We'll both be first. We could do an episode on that. What it's like to be
the bossy,
That's right.
the bossy siblings. But yeah, so Tina and Jake, what's awesome about them is they are part of the church.
Yes,
they help
they
us
are.
lead
Yes, they do.
in the next gen and worship and among other things. And so
Well, I don't help him worship.
well,
Just clarify
together. I don't either, but I feel like if we have a song of the Lord, we can offer it up as a sacrifice on Sunday.
right for other people. It's
It will be a sacrifice.
of burnt offering.
So it's a real family affair here
Yes.
at our church, and we love it. We love that families are here and our family's here, and we get to do ministry and life together. So we're excited. So let's get started.
So let's do this. Tina, why don't you share a little bit about your journey and introduce your lovely and beautiful husband?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Blessings.
So
Get right in on that mic so we can hear you.
Okay.
There you go.
Well, hello.
Hello.
I'm Tina. This is my husband, Jake.
Hi, Tina. Hi, Jake.
So formal.
I know. That
Tell
did
us your
sound
last
really
name so
formal.
everybody hears it.
Oh,
You do it. No, you do it.
My last name is Sosimea.
So where is that from? Where is that origin?
So that is Samoan. So,
Samoan.
yes, from the islands of Samoa, American Samoa. So, yes, if you're looking for that, somewhere in the South Pacific, if you find New Zealand, you look straight up, you'll see a couple of ink blots in the middle of the blue ocean. That's where you will find us.
Wow.
So word on the street is that all Samoans are related. Is that true?
That's a really great chance that you could be related to another Samoan that you come across. So, which is probably one of the reasons I always told my parents I would never marry a Samoan.
Okay. Well, there you go.
have it.
There you go.
And the end of episode, right? Is that it? Is that all we need to talk about?
Good
Now,
talk.
Tina, tell us a little bit about what your life, maybe just a little bit about your journey, wanting to get married. I know for a season, Tina lived with us and our kids, and she is an amazing, she loves children so well. Our kids just love her. She was such a blessing in our home for those years she stayed with us.
Yeah.
But she had such
She
a
helped
heart to
us.
get married, and we were so like praying, like, Lord, bring her a man from Samoa. No, we didn't pray that. But
From somewhere.
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, wow.
We're offending all the Islanders watching this
Yeah.
episode.
Well, I guess I'll start off by saying I didn't do everything perfectly in waiting for the Lord. Made some mistakes there, but the redemptive part of the story was once I really was like, Lord, I want to do this your way, the right way. I had to let go of course, all the things in the past. And then I thought it would be like a year, maybe 2. I was probably 30, 31 when that happened. And I thought, it's probably another year or 2 before the Lord brings my husband. And it wasn't. So I had to continue just finding ways to stay content in my singleness, but not to become complacent in my singleness. And so I just would find people who were in the same season of life. I was like, okay, I'm going to start just going on some dates to learn about myself, just going through a process and just thinking, I don't know when this is going to happen, but if it never does, I know I'll be content. If God never brings me a spouse, he's given me a good life and I'll be content.
Wow. I'm sure that's hard. And I know there's lots of girls, because I've watched you process this journey. And I know you've been in contact with lots of women who live this journey as well. What would you say to encourage them if they're in that same season that you were in?
Yeah, I would say find other single women that you can do life with, people that are in the same season. And people always say it's hard, but it's not. You can find community of women that are doing what you're doing, and that's going to help you get through, because you're going to need to go out on a Saturday night or go to a nice restaurant, or maybe you want to go on vacation and you just feel like, how am I going to do this by myself? Well, you don't have to if you have that community around you. So I would say that was like the first thing that I prayed. I was like, okay, God, if I'm supposed to do this long term, then I need you to bring me some single girlfriends. And he did. He fulfilled that. And I had like 4 or 5 girls that were in the same season that I hung out with on the regular and went on vacations and went out to dinner. So I think having that community is a vital part to surviving.
I agree. Okay, so you're living your best single life. And are we still praying and believing for your husband?
Yes.
So you said that started around 30, 31?
Yes. And I actually heard a testimony from someone who was talking about like her waiting season for her husband. And she went out and got some things that she considered evidence before the Lord as like, I'm going to be someone's wife. So I thought, oh, I like that idea. I'm going to go do that. So anytime I was out and about and I saw something that was more like something a wife would have, it would say bride, or I had a mug that said I'm engaged. And so I just started buying things, because anytime I felt depressed or like, during certain holidays, it just hits you and you're like, oh, another holiday, another Mother's Day, another, whatever it is. I would go in my room, take all that stuff out, lay it on my bed and be like, Lord, I'm bringing this to you as evidence that I will be married one day. I will be a bride. I will be engaged. And I just had to like raise my own faith in that season to be like, no, this is going to happen for me. I can't. Because I always told myself, like, if I just stop believing for this, what's on the other side is hopelessness. And then I still don't get what I want. And then maybe I'll end up married, but it'll be to somebody that it's not either a good marriage, or I won't be happy, or because I settled. So I had to just like come to that point in my mind of like, I have to fight for this. It has to be something I fight for.
Yeah, let's go.
I'll say too, what you did there was scriptural in the fact that you're speaking life over your situation, right? Because a lot of times we can speak death over certain seasons in our life, like, oh, I'll never find somebody, I'll never be married, I'll never be a mom. And it's like our words have power. And so you did the opposite, almost like prophetically declaring, like, I will be a wife one day, I will have children one day. And so I encourage, not even in this season, in anything in our lives, if we're believing for something, speak it as though it were so, and speak life into those things so you can eventually see the fruit of it.
Yeah.
All right, that's good. So here you are. God finally brings you. We remember the time when you guys started dating. It was during, was it during 2020 or 2019?
2019.
2019. So it was right before COVID and the whole pandemic. And I know you guys started dating. That was a big deal. We were all excited.
Yes.
We kind of knew of Jake from previous church relationship.
Like
Can I
20
just
years.
say how, we knew Jake before, but how kind of strange and funny it was to be involved in like an older sibling dating life, like to watch how old were you, 39, your old sister go out on a date. We had a good time just poking fun and being like teenage girls.
Mom and Dad will be here when you get home.
Because you were living with us. I remember some of Tina's friends came over the house and they were waiting for you to get back. And then you guys were in the car too long, so they were the three of you and her two friends snuck out, went around the back of the house,
trying to peek over the fence,
trying to look.
All the normal things that grown women do.
Well, we fast forward. You guys end up getting married. And then at this point, maybe share a little bit about your background, Jake, and then how, getting married later in life, and then we'll get into some of the other stuff.
So we knew each other, like early 2000s, I think is when I first met you.
Yeah.
Right. And during that time, I was married when I met you guys, and then right around the time, like maybe a couple of years before I had met Tina, I had gone through a divorce, and so some friends they were trying to tell me about online dating, and I was like,
okay,
nah, I'm not doing that. Like, there's no way I'm doing that.
Did you swipe right or left?
40,
Is that how you got
I'm like 40. There's no way.
Yeah.
And so they kind of shamed me into it, and I was like, all right, I'll try it for 3 months, and so next thing I know, I'm on like 6 different like dating apps.
Wow, you jumped in, man.
Well, I had to figure it out.
You need a couple fishing rods in the ocean. I know what
I
you're
had
doing.
no idea what I was doing at all. I had zero idea what I was doing. So, but anyway, through that is how I met Tina, and there was just something that was different about her profile, and I'll always remember there was a picture, and it looked like she was speaking in front of like people, and there was just something that was, to me, that was striking about that picture is like, what is she talking about? And that caught my attention. And so for me, I just wanted to know more about who she was. And so, and then I swiped through the photos, and I was like, I know that person. I know that's LeeAnn. And so I was like, oh, yeah, okay, here we go. So for me,
so LeeAnn was on the dating app? Is that what you
no.
said?
So it was a picture.
Photo.
Okay, I just want to clarify.
He had to stalk Tina before he actually. You go and you look at their profile.
Not at all.
Yeah, make that clear. Not on the app.
I'm writing it down here.
But it was funny because we were actually going to the aquarium in Chattanooga when, I guess, you notified her, and she's like, it says you know him. Do you know this guy? And I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So,
Crazy.
Yeah. And it's interesting because maybe, I don't know how long ago, I saw you at the gas station in town. And I was thinking, we need to have that guy Jake come out and do worship, because I knew he could sing, and I knew he was really good, and his cousins were the Katinas, and music was in his blood, and then I don't know what happened from there, and the next thing you know, you're checking out my sister-in-law. So I'm like, so here we are, man. He's outside. So you guys get married. Go ahead.
Yeah. So that, and I think just having that history with you guys, just knowing the family that Tina's coming from, it was, for me, it kind of like put everything on the fast track. Yeah. So and
now you also had 3 kids.
Yes, so I have three daughters, and I'm telling you that those girls are, I love them, and it's difficult for me to talk about them and not like want to like get emotional. So I'll just kind of move forward from that. I want to have every moment with them as much as possible. So I love my daughters. So
we'll get a little personal here. You guys get married. I remember the wedding.
Well, let's back up first.
Oh, we're gonna back up.
Okay. So it
marinate
sparks, right?
Oh, okay.
Okay. So
Sparks.
how long was this dating process before you got married?
It was a long time.
No, it wasn't. Well, we met July 28th and we were married November 23rd.
Okay,
So it was
well, when
less
you
than
know, you
4
know.
months.
Okay.
But I will say, because I think this is important, when we knew we wanted to get married, but we kept talking about the spring because I always wanted a spring wedding. And so as I started praying about it, I felt the Lord say November. And I was like, what? I'm like, no way. I am not going to this guy I just met. We just started dating and saying, I think we need to get married in November. I was terrified, but I went to him and I said, I just feel like I need you to pray about this. This is what I'm feeling the Lord saying. And he's like, okay, I'll pray about it. And what we didn't know was COVID was coming. And so the Lord kind of orchestrated it for us to have like this, because we didn't go on a honeymoon. We just, there was a bunch of different reasons we didn't right after we got married. But I felt like it was almost this gift from the Lord where we would have had to have been somewhat separated if we were still dating during the beginning of COVID. But this was more like an extended honeymoon for like months of just spending time together, like really getting to know him. And I really got to know his daughters because I didn't know them. And so it was all this time that we got together that I think would have taken years almost because, they weren't with us full time. And so it was just like this blessing from the Lord. And I'm like, see, God knew. He knew ahead of time what was coming. And if I had let, again, my own emotions or thoughts get in the way, we would have missed out on all that. And then it would have been.
And not only that, we actually were able to have a like wedding ceremony, like a traditional one, where we could invite people and they came over. It was beautiful. Loved it.
Yeah.
Because right after we got married, maybe about 6 weeks or 8 weeks, everything shut down. Mm-hmm. And so if we had stuck with the plan of getting married in the spring, we probably would have ended up like. We probably would have got married like through like I don't know,
parents' living room,
or probably through Zoom or something like that. You in one room and me in
yeah.
another.
Wow.
So that would have been difficult.
Zoom was tough in 2020.
Yeah,
I was zoomed out.
It was just another way that God showed us that hey, my plans are better for you. Just trust me and we'll see what this.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, so you're married. Life is great. You're making it through COVID. All these things. How do you feel about kids at this point?
Well, we had talked about it when we were dating. I have always wanted kids.
Yeah, Tina always wanted kids. We knew she would be a great mom.
I always wanted kids, and so I had a conversation with Jake when we were dating, and it was one of those moments where he was like, I don't know how to tell you this, but
yeah. So
you say the words. I feel weird.
Well, she had asked me how I felt about having kids, and I said, well, actually, I had a vasectomy a few years ago. So, and it was just one of those things. Was like, okay, cool. We might have to talk about maybe adoption or something, but
he was open to it, and that's what mattered to me. I'm like, okay, he's not like, nope, I'm done.
Yeah,
kids are done. He was open to having more. So I actually did. I remember I came home and I told you, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. He had a vasectomy. And you were like, that's not a reason not to be with someone. Like, what if you get married and something is with you? And I was like, oh, that's a good point. Like, I didn't really think about it. You're like, you just never know until you're like actually trying to have kids, what the situation that may come up. So it's just not, he's willing. So it's not a reason for concern. And I was like, yeah. No, you're right. That's true. So it kind of gave me like this piece of like, yeah, you're right. If he's willing, that's all the Lord needs is two willing people.
So Jake, what? I mean, let's be frank here and honest. Although you're Jake, you're not Frank.
Yeah, I'll still be Jake.
What would you say drove you to get a vasectomy? I know a lot of people have this reason. I'm done, whatever. But what was your?
It wasn't because I didn't want to have any more kids. Matter of fact, like I loved having my girls. And what was one of the things that I loved about it was because even before my oldest was born, like I knew who she was. I actually saw her in a dream. And I remember waking up saying, like, I just saw my daughter. And then when she was born, she looked just like the way that I dreamt. And then with my second one, I knew that she was a girl. And I knew my third one was a girl. I just knew, and I loved being a girl dad. And I was open to more, but because of it was actually because of health issues. So with their mom, it would have been a life or death situation. So for that, protection is really why I chose to have that done.
Yeah. So you guys get married. I know Tina really wanted to have kids. She says, you know what? I'm going to trust the Lord in this. We'll pivot. We'll figure out what we're going to do. Maybe it's adopt or whatever. But then, like, walk us through this, because, you know, we've already given up the fact that you have a child. So, like, spoiler alert, okay, you have a kid. So we're going to walk through the process of what took place there, how you got to that place of the reversal, and, you know, all that discussion that took place in that.
I mean, I think I had just had conversations like, are you willing to do this? And
was this after the marriage? After you got married? Okay.
Yeah, after we got married.
Willing to do what?
Get a reversal.
Okay.
So we got married in 2019, and that first year we didn't really talk about it because it was COVID.
Real quick. How did you go from let's adopt to a reversal? Like, because before you're like, well, we'll just adopt. Well, how did that even thought process of going down that road?
Well, everything was on the table. Adoption, getting a reversal. I was like surrogacy. Like, I don't know.
There
was
baby
like
on the sidewalk or something like that. Any of that stuff.
Yeah. It's called stealing, but
Never mind.
Yeah.
So I was open to just any way that God wanted to do it.
Yeah.
But my first desire was for me to be able to carry a baby, because I was like, that's always been something I envision. I just want, but Lord, whatever you want. So when we started talking about like, okay, we're ready to start having kids, what does this look like? And I started looking into him getting the reversal through like insurance. Well, funny enough, insurance covers a vasectomy, but it does not cover a reversal. So the cost was like $15,000, somewhere around there, $10,000 to $15,000. I remember being like, oh my gosh, we don't have that kind of money. So I like nonchalantly said something to someone, and she said, you know, this is going to sound crazy, but my husband and I went to this clinic.
Actually, before that, I think we had talked about even like doing like IVF or something like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was on the table, but you had to have the reversal done.
Oh, yeah.
So
you're right.
So yeah, I like mentioned it to a friend, like, this is what we're praying for. And she said, I know this is going to sound crazy, but my husband went to this clinic in Oklahoma, and it's this man's ministry. And I was like, really? And he only charges for the procedure. So it's like, I think it was like $1,800 or something. And I'm like, okay, that cost.
Yeah,
I'm
give me
open.
two. You know what I mean?
I'm like, okay. So we went. I looked him up, and we went. And
so let me ask you this: the person that recommended him, did they have success after it?
Yes,
they did. Okay,
yes.
Okay.
And so we were like, okay, it's worth a shot. Let's try it. I had to like submit some sort of like story about us, and just wait to hear. And you got on a wait list because so many people were utilizing this man's ministry still to this day, because not many people do it. And so we went out there, and it did seem kind of crazy. I'm like, you had to bring cash, and it was like, I'm like, oh my gosh, is this the right thing?
Is it the back alley?
Yeah, but as soon as we like walked in with the doctor, he sat us down and he said, first and foremost, let's pray and get the Lord at the center of this. And so he prayed over us, prayed over the procedure.
I think you sent us a picture.
Yeah.
You had your eyes closed, and this guy was going full throttle prayer.
Had his hands up and everything.
That's the guy that's doing the operation?
Yes.
Let's go.
Yep. So, and he was telling us, like, listen, because it had been from the time Jake had the vasectomy till we were getting it, it was like well over 10 years. And he's like, the odds after this long are really low. I just want you to know that, but it's nothing that God can't do. And I was like, okay. I'm like, I have the information. Like, through this whole journey, I'm telling myself, people have to give me facts, but the Lord has the truth. Right. So I just have to take in the facts and go, okay, but the Lord has like what he can do, what the word says is true. And so I just kept leaning on that, like, be fruitful and multiply, and, you know, that children are a blessing from the Lord. And so I was just like, I'm just going to keep believing that this is something God has for us until he says, no, it's not. So we went and did it, and Jake was, you know, a true trooper, because the next day he got on a flight and came back to Nashville, and that was kind of like the start of the journey of trying to conceive.
I mean, let's talk about this for a moment. So literally this guy's going in there and reconnecting wires, right?
Yep.
He's reconnecting all these things. It's over 10 years, so maybe, you know, the little swimmers aren't as good anymore, right? That was the thought.
Yeah.
I'm Polynesian, though.
You're
remember.
Polynesian. Yeah, those boys can swim. We know that. I've seen
right in the middle of a bunch of water.
I've seen The Rock pull a helicopter down with his arm one time in one movie.
So that is,
so I know that's true.
what we're talking about.
So I know we're dealing with superhuman sperm, so there's a difference here. But so you guys go back, right? What's the process? What happens? Does it happen right away?
No, time was just going and going and going. And I had another friend who was going through infertility stuff, and she said, you need to go get checked. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. And she's like, listen, knowledge is what you need right now, because they can tell you what you need to do. So the best thing you can do is figure out what the problem is and then go from there. And maybe there's not a problem, but at least you'll know. So I was like, well, okay, Jake, the reversal obviously didn't work, so I sent him in first, because I was like, wow, it's probably you. So he went in, and they literally like a week later were like, nope, he's perfectly healthy. Everything's great. And I was like,
we've never seen this before. This is amazing.
This man is truly amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So then I realized, I'm like, okay, it must be something with me. So I went in, and again, a week later, the doctor said, well, I don't know how to tell you this, but your egg count is like that of a 80 to 90-year-old woman.
Wow.
And
what does that look like? What does that mean?
Well, like most women in their 30, like late 30s,
80s
early.
a 90-year-old woman? I didn't think you had eggs at all.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you do, but that's how he explained it.
Chicken? Are we talking about chickens or humans? I don't know which one.
I don't know. None of us are obese here, okay?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the stats on that. All I know is that he said most women my age were producing like 14 to 15 eggs in a cycle, and I was like 3 to 4.
Wow.
And so he's like, it's not going to happen without our help. You need IVF. You're not going to be able to do this on your own. And I was just devastated, because I was like, wow, this whole time it's me. Like, again, it brought me back to the conversation we had where you're like, you know, you don't know what the future can hold. And you're saying like he's the issue, when in reality, it was me the whole time. So I just felt a little bit like, I don't know, it does something to your mind as a woman to be like, the one thing I should be able to do, I can't do. It doesn't, like, how is this even possible? Like, did I do something? Like, I had never done birth control. Like, there were just things that I was like, what could I have done to, like, prep myself for all of this? So it took a while for me to just jump right back in and be like, no, this is what I'm going to do. So it did take a couple months for that information to, like, sit in. And then I got to a point where we just kept talking about it. And I was like, I can't let it go. We're going to have to try it, even if it's IVF. So that was like the next thing of like making the decision to go for IVF. And so we started to do like a campaign and save, and it was like this whole thing. And so many people like graciously donated, because so many people were like watching my story unfold for years, that they were like, we want this for you. Like, you know,
that's true.
This is such a great God story. And so it was humbling, but right, I think it was a month before I went in, I got pregnant. Now I ended up losing that baby, which was also devastating, because I'm like, I don't understand. I waited this long. Why am I, like, it had not been something that ran in our family, you know, like, neither you nor Erica lost their baby. Mom never lost a baby. So I was like, I don't understand. Why would this happen to me? And it was very devastating. And so, thankfully I had Jake and family to like help me, like, no, you got to get back in it. I remember you even said to me, okay, I know this is hard, but your daughter is, I knew it was a girl. We had taken like a blood test before I had the miscarriage, but you were like, she's in heaven now, like telling you like, run your race, Mom, like go, like don't give up now. And it just like stuck with me that I was like, yeah, I can't give up. Like I can't just like say, oh, it didn't work this one time, so I'm done, because it was painful. So I just thought back to my single days and the way that I held on to my faith in that season, the way that I like had to encourage myself. And I didn't know it at the time, but all those years of waiting and praying and believing helped push me through to waiting for Kingston. So, yeah.
I remember when you had that post, or I think you were telling us even before you posted it out to the public, but you like bought the baby stuff like you did with the bride. So when did that all happen?
Yeah, so that happened after we got the reversal and I realized it was taking a while. I was like, oh, I got to go back to the evidence thing. And so I went out and bought like a little onesie, and we got a pair of Nikes, and we just every time.
Nikes with blue trim.
Yes.
Yeah.
And every time I felt, again, like Mother's Day or, whatever was happening, that I was like, why isn't this, like, is this what the Lord wants? Or I'm like, no, until God closes the door, I have to fight for this. And so I would do the same thing. I'd take it out, lay it out, and just start praying, again, like quoting scripture about children. And I just had to stand firm on it. And like, I just kept telling myself, you can't give up, because if you give up, what's the end result? You don't get a child. So you might as well just keep fighting until the Lord shows you what he wants to do.
I think it's interesting too, like as you're sharing. So this sidestep, this is one of the reasons why I believe in, with us being youth directors, we try to remind our students every week, like if you notice something that God's done in your life, like say it, share it. The testimonies, it's because when you get into this habit, you start to remember other things that God's done. And so we don't talk about our story a whole lot. But as Tina's sharing this part of it, one of the things I don't think I've ever even told you, but when we started this journey and went through the reversal, and that was successful, there was a part of me that felt like we will have a baby. And through this whole thing, even through the first pregnancy, I had a sense that like we were going to have a boy. I just didn't know it. So when we got the results back after the miscarriage and found out that it was a girl, there was still something in me, because there was a part of me that was starting to like resolve with the reality that, okay, well, maybe having a baby isn't in our future, but I just felt like there was something like, no, there's a boy here somewhere. And so when I saw that result, I was like, okay, then there must be another baby on the way. And so hearing you share, I'm like, oh, there's another way that God was at work, working through just even being present in that really difficult moment for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's so many things in here. I'm thinking about the story in 1 Samuel of Hannah wanting to have a son, right? Mm-hmm. And she cries out. It says here in verse 10 in chapter 1, it says, she was deeply distressed and prayed to the Lord and wept bitterly. And she vowed a vow. She said, if you give me a child, I'm going to dedicate him to the service of the Lord. It's so interesting how this moves God's heart, right? And so I think that for those people that maybe are listening, there's twofold, right? There's some that are believing for a baby, and maybe you're stacked against all odds, like, what is it? Not a whole lot of eggs, and 10 plus years of business being closed up, and God obviously overcomes all of that. And then there's some people, maybe you felt like I've had so many people, even in our journey, where we would have, it happened so frequently. Maybe when we started getting in the higher numbers of kids, I remember people would say, it's time for the snippy snip. And I always thought that was kind of funny. Like, you're going to talk about me like that? You don't even know me. You talk about snippity snip. Yeah. I thought that was so funny how it just came up in conversation. People you didn't even know. You know where you can get that fixed. And I'm like, what is talking about this stuff? And I just remember thinking, like, I'm not doing it, And I remember you said, well, what are we going to do here? And I know it was the Lord, because part of me didn't want to do it, right? Because I heard people have to put frozen peas and stuff like that. But anyway, all that to say, there are people here that probably are listening that either are believing for a child or they have already closed up shop. So there's a lot of elements into your story that's pretty profound. When you think about Hannah and how she wept bitterly, she brought it before the Lord. What was the sustaining factor for both of you? You mentioned like you saw this these baby. You saw this baby. You saw this son. You know, you mentioned you would lay out the clothes that you were believing for. These are ways to keep the faith, right? And you guys did that really well. I want to just commend you because you kept pursuing the promises of the Lord. And I think sometimes people if God doesn't answer it by Friday, I'm done. You know, I'm done with God and I'm done with this promise. But we know that sometimes, a lot of times, our timing is not God's timing. Yeah. So speaking to that a little bit, just to encourage people that are watching or listening, how they can wait on the Lord in that.
Well, I feel like one of the ways that you really do have to keep reminding yourself of God's word and what's true versus like how you're feeling. Like our emotions lie to us so easily. And I just deep down in my heart, I was like, this is something I desire. And I always felt like if this is not something the Lord wants, well, number one, does it line up with the word? What I'm desiring, does it line up with the word? Having children does. So I was like, okay, this is an okay thing to desire. And then if the Lord isn't removing that desire, then I need to press in until he fulfills it or until he removes that desire. And so I just feel like it's so easy. We get so caught up that like if God doesn't answer our prayer when we think he should or how we think he should, then we just give up and we say, oh, prayer doesn't work. Right. Well, why? Because it didn't come on your timetable or how you thought it should. Yeah. And so I don't know. I feel like I'm, always in this journey. Like Jake kind of laughs because he's like, you're back to like, that same mindset. The Lord's always pushing me further in my faith. Like, okay, every season you go through should carry you through the next one. Like, okay, God did this before, he's going to do it again. And if he's not ever done that in your life, then look at someone else who he has done it for. Look at my life. Look at our life and say, you know what, if he did it for Tina and Jake,
that's good.
He could do it for me because we're not special. We don't have like some sort of special, relationship with the Lord that you don't have. It's just, we fought for it. I fought for it really hard, meeting him and then knowing like, I can't give up on this. This is such a desire. And so I feel like we have to change our thinking when it comes to raising our level of faith and prayer. Yeah.
And we know in scripture, the Lord responds to radical obedience and also faith. Mm-hmm. Faith activates something. And, we can believe for something that is not biblical. Obviously, God doesn't want to give us that. But I'm reminded of Psalms 127, behold, children are a heritage from the Lord, the fruit of the womb, a reward. So to desire a child is a good thing. Mm-hmm. It's the fruit of a womb. And it says, like arrow in the hands of a warrior are the children of one's youth. Blessed is the man who fills his quiver with them. And he shall not be put to shame when he speaks with his enemies at the gate. There is a blessing. So to desire children, for those of you listening, and even what you've gone through, it is a good thing. God wants to honor that. Yeah. And so many times we give up because you did have a miscarriage. You were told that this is going to be very difficult for this to happen. But here we are today with a son. Jake, talk a little bit about what you had to process through too, because this required some obedience in surgery as well for you.
Yeah. That part of it wasn't really an issue for me. I think really my thought was, I know how much Tina desired to have a child. And so, for me, I was like, okay, Lord, I do feel like you are going to give us the grace. I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't know how you're going to add to our family. I just have a sense that you will add to our family. And I have a sense that you are going to add to our family by adding a son to our family. I don't know what that looks like. But the way that I process, here at Southview, I lead worship. And for me, I always process the things that I'm going through worship. And so when I'm singing songs, when I'm leading songs, when I'm spending time and just listening to like hours of just worship music, I process that way. Those words are speaking, not just life to a situation, but they're reminding me of God's goodness. They're reminding me of his faithfulness. They're reminding me of how he walks like through difficult times with us. And so for me, that was a big part of it, because singing songs, and there were moments where when I sat down in the living room and I'd turn off the lights and start, worshiping, and I'd throw my hands up, and I'm like, Lord, I don't know what else to do other than to just sing this song about your faithfulness. I don't know what else to do other than to just sing this song about how good you are. I've got nothing else. So this is what I'm going to give you in how I'm going to process this. And so every week, and there are different moments in my life where I've experienced loss, and I've had to process. That's the only way for me, or at least that's the primary way that I process through these times, these difficult waiting periods, these difficult periods of loss, is going through and singing songs back to the Lord to say, I know what your word says.
Yeah.
You're not. I know one thing that's very true. If nothing else, you're not a man that you can lie. It's impossible. And you've been good before. Yeah. And if you're the same then, and you're that person now, and you will be that way forever, then this is what I'm going to trust in. My brain might not believe it. My soul and my spirit, or my soul and my emotions may not believe it, but my spirit knows that this is true. So this is what I'm going to stand on. This is what I'm going to continue to sing until I can get every other part of who I am to to fall in line with what I know to be true, which is your word. So, I mean, that's how I had to process it. Yeah.
So this whole journey, you've gone through this whole experience, and now you're on the other side. What can you say of the Lord as you've gone through that? What is something you can say of the Lord through that whole process?
He's good. I mean, I see that little guy running around, and all I can say is he's good. Yeah. I see that guy with his sisters, and how much they love that little guy. Yeah. Like, to me, I mean, he's faithful. There's not that, like, I don't know what else to say other than he's good, because his timing is perfect. The way that he answers prayers might not be the way that I thought it would have been good, but man, it's perfect, and to see him and the way that he loves his mom, the way that he's always calling his mom, the way that he, the way that he loves on his sisters, and the way he's got 4 moms.
Yeah, pretty much.
And he loves all of them. And I see that, and I'm like, God is really good.
Yeah. Well, man, it was just what a joy to watch this firsthand. I know there were some tough times. We mourned with you guys. I mean, we definitely, we walked with Tina for a long time, believing. We always knew that she would be an amazing mom. And we knew how much she wanted to get married. And I just think it's so interesting, the stories, how they come together, I think there's always something we see when we look back, right? But the hard part is when we're in the process, we don't see the full story. And so when you said you reminded yourself in worship, or you reminded yourself through the word of his faithfulness, I think that's such a key in anything that we're doing, because whether it's a trivial thing that you're dealing with on a week, or if you're trying to find a husband, or you want to have a kid, you have to remind yourself that God's faithful. His word is very explicit about he is for people getting married, having children, raising a home. I mean, this is his desire. Mm-hmm. So when we come into alignment with that and we say, God, I want to have a husband or a wife, I want to have kids, God's like, yes and amen to that. It's not even something we have to beg him for. Many times the process is different. I think we've seen people now today trying to rush the process, right? What would you say to somebody that's trying to rush the process, maybe doing something, getting ahead of the Lord, whether it's dating or even kids, and not trusting the Lord? How do you see, like, looking back on it, how waiting on God, because you have the fruit now, right? You have the son. And we're believing for more, right? Is that right?
Well, I'm still working through that.
Okay. Well,
this guy has a very strong personality.
This side is believing for it.
Yeah.
That side is still praying for it. No, we believe that, however the Lord does this, obviously, he's got you. Mm-hmm. It's so beautiful to watch this little boy. So go back to the question. When you look at what people are doing today, rushing the process, what is sustaining for you, even in that process, to help you keep motivated to the promises of the Lord?
Yeah. What advice would you give them?
Yeah.
Well, I would say you can have your Isaac or you can have your Ishmael.
Oh, come on.
And
Let's go.
that's how I look at it. It's like you can, God, he's so good and merciful that you could make a wrong choice and he can make good out of it. But
That is
it's
good.
not his
That's
best
true. That's right.
for you.
That's right.
And so do you really trust the Lord enough to be like, God, I want your best?
Yeah.
And somebody explained it a long time ago like this. It's like having custom furniture, right? Like you can go into a store and pick out anything, but if you want like a custom piece, it takes time. It's not something that's done overnight. Look at a custom build of a home. You can go in and pick, with a builder that makes 3 or 4 floor plans, but if you want a custom home, those are specific contractors that like build it out. And so I always think of it in that way, as like the Lord has something so custom, specific to whoever it is that's listening to this, like that you're believing for something. And you can just go in and pick whatever, and I'm sure, God will make good out of it because he's just that good. But don't you want his best? Don't you want, like, I just kept thinking, because everybody would say marriage is so hard, and I was like, do I want to get married? Everyone keeps saying how hard it is. And when I obviously Jake and I have had some bumps in the road like this, waiting on the Lord for a child, and it was hard. But I was like, thank God I picked the right person, that I waited on the Lord, because the things that we had to walk through, if at any point I would have been like, oh, I made a mistake, like, oh, what that would have done to me and my faith and my heart. And so I feel like we really have to remind ourselves that God sees the beginning, the end, the middle. He sees the past, like all the things that we need. I didn't know how much I needed him or his girls in my life, but God knew. And so it's just, it's something that I just feel like we have to do better with, not trying to get in the way of the Lord, or not putting God in a box and saying, well, God, this is how you need to make this happen for me. His way is so much better, the one who sees it all. And so I would just say, fight for it. Like really, literally say, no, I'm not giving up till the Lord comes through. I'm going to like fight for this thing.
Don't settle.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just sent to our kids this past week a little thing that said, marrying the right person, you gain a prayer partner. Marrying the wrong person, you have a prayer request. And I'm like, ain't that the truth? So it's very important that you wait and you marry the right person.
Yeah.
So it's good.
Yeah, because God knows what you need. You might have wants and desires, but God knows what you need. And Jake is exactly who I needed for so many things.
Yeah, he's
you are
good.
the best.
He is good. I think even his temperament is so good for you. That's so interesting how God will put different storylines together, and the process of where you were at and what you were coming out of, Jake, and what Tina was believing for, and just the alignment of that. It's just, it's almost like it was scripted, I think it's just amazing when you look at those things and the situations. The reality is we love watching movies that have twists and turns and bumps in the road. Plot twists. Yeah, we do. We don't like it when it's our life that we're watching, but we love it watching other people's stories. And I think there's something really special about hearing your story, because to me, I've never heard of a story where somebody had reversed what they did, and God brings and I'm watching your little son, my nephew, run around, and I'm thinking he statistically shouldn't have been here, right? Yeah. He's completely healthy. He's fully Samoan and a little bit of Puerto Rican, but he's full of life. Yeah. And what an amazing thing. And it is a reminder to me, like even when we thought about our life and how when we had 4 kids, we were like, we did it, right? We've maximized the amount of kids anybody should ever have. And we could have literally shut the engine down, but something stopped us. It was the Lord, right? And after that, 6 more kids came. 6 more kids. And I'm thinking to myself, 6 more kids shouldn't be here. Kingston shouldn't have been here, but he is. God's destiny for them. But it was our obedience, and all of us on this table, to say, we're going to do this. And it doesn't mean that it isn't hard. And I think that's the challenge. We think that the promises of God, yes, they're yes and amen. That's what Scripture says. But it doesn't mean that all hell won't try to come against it. It doesn't mean that your faith won't be in jeopardy. It means that we have to lean on the promises and lean on the one who makes the promises, knowing that he's faithful to the end. Yeah. What he starts, he finishes. That's what he does. He's a great finisher of things. And I think that this is such a beautiful testimony of the fact, number one, that God aligned you with somebody who not only had the medical degree, but he had the spiritual passion to pray. I'll never get that picture that you sent us out of my mind of here's your doctor, your surgeon praying over you two before you go into surgery. Yeah. What an amazing thing. And we're going to put a link to what he does. What's the name of the clinic?
The Reversal Clinic.
The Reversal Clinic.
Dr. David Wilson.
Dr. David Wilson. Look at David. Come on,
Shout
David. Shout out to David Wilson.
Yeah.
Let's go, David. And he's probably got kids all over the place that can say, thank you, David, for bringing me into the world.
Yeah, that's
you know?
amazing.
Yep.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I think my encouragement for that, for people that are in that season, and I'll speak like to the men, right? So for me, it would be easy to just kind of like hang back and be the silent, emotional, like stable one where you're just kind of like, oh, okay, you know, I'll pray for you and stuff like that. My encouragement to the men would be worship. You know, it's easy to say, difficult to do, difficult to sing out, because we don't do that unless we're like in an arena watching, you know, sports happen, things like that, or getting mad because sports isn't going our way. But, you know, I just feel like if you intentionally worship, if you intentionally find those, you know, songs that talk specifically or that sing specifically about the situation that you're in, the thing that happens is you start to like get past yourself at a certain point to just say, okay, I'm not singing about me. I'm not singing about anything. I'm singing about like God's faithfulness. And it's awkward at first and it feels uncomfortable, but it sometimes if you just continue to like get to that place, because here's the thing, it isn't just you. In the same way that in Acts, it wasn't just Paul and Silas. There were other people that were listening. Yeah, that's good. And what happens is when you continue to do something, it becomes part of who you are. It becomes part of like who other people start to label you as. Why? Because so not only did Paul and Silas get their freedom, but everybody else that heard them got their freedom. My point is my son hears me singing. My daughters hear me singing. And what happens is that is who they begin to learn that I am. That's my son will learn to process through life by worshiping because he's hearing me sing that. He's hearing me sing of God's goodness, of his faithfulness, of who he is, the truth of who he is. Yeah, so he's going to hear that from me. He's going to learn that from me. That's my encouragement to the men.
Yeah, you know, if you're a man listening to this, you know, you need to find your passion for your kids as well. I hear a lot of stories where women are believing for children, right? Because I think innately there's something inside of you that desires to carry a child, right? But I want to hear more men that are, like you said, Jake, believing for their children. You know, maybe even encouraging their wife to say, hey, let's have a baby, you know? There's so many things that come from the Father, and there's so many blessings that come from the Father. So as you develop your walk with the Lord, man, I want to just say this to you. Don't ever say that my wife is the spiritual head of my home. It needs to be you. And if your wife's in the Word and she's worshiping and she knows all the theological things, you need to learn more. You need to keep studying so that you can lead your home with spiritual authority. This isn't a male chauvinist thing. This is that we are essentially, and the Word says, we're priests of the home. And we're supposed to love our wives like Christ loved and died for the church. And so we need to be able to step up. And so if you're listening to this and your wife is believing for a baby, or you're believing for children and more kids, you need to go before the Lord and say, God, you know what? Give me a passion for that too. In fact, let me believe with my wife even more so, and worship your way. Read the Word, declare it over your wife so you can see these kids come. Because here's the deal. One of the greatest things we'll do on this earth is have children and raise them up to follow Jesus. And that means, like for us, we got 10 more disciples. You got 4 more disciples. Like these children are going to change the world. I know all your girls love Jesus. And your son, he's doomed to love Jesus. This is happening. Whether he likes it or not, no, he's going to love Jesus because I know he loves the church. But our kids love Jesus. What a great gift. Yeah. It really is. It's part of the arrows in the quiver. Mm-hmm. So anything else, LeeAnn?
No, I think that's great. I love your testimony.
Yeah,
I think
great.
it's an encouragement. And I know a lot of people will be encouraged by your story and your season, and because life's not just easy, right? And everybody doesn't get married young and have all the kids they want and everything's kumbaya. So it's important to get these stories out so it encourages other people to be like, okay, like you said, if they can do it, then I can do it.
Yeah. We need more like 100-year-old couples having kids, don't you think? Like Abraham and Isaac. Isaac, Jacob,
Sweetie,
like Sarah, bring all that in. Okay. Anyway, somebody's just rejected that in Jesus' name. So here's what we do. At the end of these episodes, we try to do 2 things in 10 seconds, 2 kind of wrap-up points that God has spoken to you through this episode or things you shared. Who wants to start? I'm going to start. How about that? Can I do that? I'm going to knock them out. This way? Yeah, we'll go this way. I'm going to start. We'll go, and you go down the road. So the first thing I'm reminded is what you laid out on your bed. You did 2 things. You laid out the ones that said bride-to-be, I'm engaged, and then later on you laid out the Nikes and the onesie. And that just reminded me, like sometimes we need to take physical steps to remind ourselves that God is faithful. And then I love, Jake, what you just said, which is, I started worshiping and I started declaring over my home and over my family God's promises. That's amazing.
Mine would be keep persevering through your seasons of waiting. And because the other one is we serve a miracle working God.
Let's go.
God that does miracles.
So I would say you can be content, but you don't have to be complacent. And that instead of giving up, you have to get up and fight for what you want and continue to pray. Don't give up on prayer just because it's not in your timeline.
I would say that God doesn't lie. So when he says something over your life, it's going to happen.
Yeah,
Our obedience to that determines that timeline.
Yeah.
I'd say that would be the first thing. The second thing is in that timeline, everyone around you is listening to what comes out of your mouth. What comes out of your mouth determines what happens in the environment around you. You're the key to somebody else's freedom.
Let's go, man.
Good.
Good job, family.
All right. That was fun. Thank you,
good.
guys.
All right. I hope you walked away from here listening to this today with hope and understanding that if it can happen for them, it can happen for you.
Right.
That's why we do these episodes, right?
Right. Yes. Keep having children.
Let's go.
Be fruitful and multiply.
Okay.
Be encouraged, and we'll be
Keep
praying
having
for
children after you get married.
After you get married would be the best way.
Good way to end.
All right. We love you guys.